I'm Melissa, and my husband is Paul. He's a light novel writer and a freelancer who juggles multiple writing projects. I assist him as a secretary at his home office. On a typical day, I was deep into work alongside Paul. As the clock struck 3 p.m., I yearned for a brief break. Yet our tranquility was shattered by the abrupt thud of the front door swinging open. Paul and I exchanged worried glances, bracing ourselves for what was to come. Party time. The living room door swung open with a bang, courtesy of Paul's older sister, Donna. Despite supposedly residing at her parents' house, she made a daily appearance at 3 p.m., indulging in tea and devouring all the snacks we had received as gifts before heading home. Once more, I found myself engrossed in work. Can't you see we're busy? Can't this wait? Don't be such a killjoy. I just want my tea, Donna retorted, unfazed by our irritation. Who do you think you're talking to? Donna flung herself onto the couch, crossing her legs with an air of entitlement. True to form, she raided our snack stash, filling the room with the loud crunching of her indulgence. Listen, it's beyond belief, Donna, I vented, frustration bubbling. She's so presumptuous and arrogant, acting like the world revolves around her. She claims to be a live streamer, but who knows how much she actually earns or anything about her work-from-home setup. And then she has the nerve to demand tea from me, her sister-in-law, as if I'm her personal servant. And as a result, Donna receives a scolding from my in-laws, though it's merely a temporary halt to her behavior. This demeanor has persisted since I first began dating Paul in high school, so it doesn't faze me much. Handle it yourself, I retorted. Don't you dare sass me, Donna shot back, her words punctuated by the scattering of snacks from her mouth to the floor. You dare talk back to me? You're the newcomer here. You should know your place. As the eldest daughter, I demand respect. If you can't handle it, then maybe you should consider a divorce. I was seething with anger at Donna's remark, but it was Paul who displayed frustration first. That's it. You're being unbearable. Leave. What? Hold on. Paul rose from his seat, seized Donna's arm, and escorted her out, her protests echoing through the room. And if you ever use the spare key we misplaced to barge in here again, I won't be so forgiving. I'll be informing Mom and Dad about this. Enough, Donna. Enough fuss, Paul commanded firmly. He reached the front door, where Donna continued her complaints, and secured the chain lock, ensuring she couldn't barge in again. With deliberate clarity, he made sure Donna heard the lock clicking into place. Then Paul swiftly dialed a number on his phone. Dad? Donna's here again. Just a moment. Paul paused to address his father. The persistent knocking on the door echoed throughout the room, but eventually it ceased. It seemed Donna had finally relented and departed. Paul and I breathed a collective sigh of relief. I'm sorry for the trouble. Donna's presence seemed to prompt an apology from me. No need to apologize. Donna's been treating Paul like a servant since she was little. Paul, being gentle and quiet, never pushed back. But ever since we got together and married, he's been learning to stand up for himself, I explained. However, it's been almost 2 years since we married, and her constant visits need addressing. She even showed up uninvited while we had guests recently. Lately, our editor has been dropping by, typically between 3 and 4 p.m. Donna once even tried to flirt with the editor, asking, I'm his sister, what are your hobbies? It was so embarrassing that we've had to arrange for the editor to visit in the mornings instead. Paul prefers to focus on work in the mornings, you see. I heard from your mother-in-law that Donna feels uncomfortable at home. Maybe she's like a hermit there, and her frustration might be directed at us due to her parents' nagging. I'm sorry. I should be better at keeping her at a distance. Don't stress about it, I reassured my partner. By the way, don't forget, we're heading to your parents' place to discuss restaurant options for their 60th birthday celebration. We could bring up Donna's situation then, I suggested. Great idea. It's high time we addressed it. I spoke to Dad earlier, and he wasn't aware Donna had taken the spare key. But they do change its hiding spot regularly, don't they? My partner responded. Yeah, Dad recently stashed it in his wallet, which caused a bit of a hiccup, I confirmed. What's the matter? I inquired. It appears that some money went missing along with the key, my partner responded solemnly. What? But she's denying it, so tensions are running high back at home. I expressed concern. I was hesitant to broach the topic given the circumstances, but I truly appreciate my in-laws, who have been kind to me since high school. I'm determined to properly celebrate their 60th birthdays, I affirmed. I want your parents to have a wonderful time. We'll address the issue when the moment is appropriate, I assured my partner. Agreed. Oh, speaking of which, what type of restaurant did you have in mind? I've compiled a list of options. Want to review them? My partner suggested. Sure, let's take a look, I replied. I presented Paul with the details of the restaurants I had researched and narrowed down. Seeing how diligently Paul worked, I wanted to offer my support in this regard. For the celebration, I intended to let my in-laws choose from the shortlisted options. A week later, we buzzed the intercom at my in-laws' house, but there was no response. Strange, they should be home, I remarked. Their car's not here. Maybe they're out, Paul suggested. Probably shopping. Getting things ready for our visit, I added optimistically. Well, let's just go in and wait, Paul decided. Using the spare key, Paul unlocked the front door. As we stepped inside, hurried footsteps sounded from the second floor. Descending with a noisy clatter was Donna. Couldn't you have answered the intercom if you knew we were coming? I scolded. I'm busy, Donna snapped back. Hello, sister-in-law, Donna greeted me curtly, as usual. But her hurried descent hinted at another reason for her sudden appearance. Did you two prepare for Mom and Dad's 60th birthday celebration? Donna inquired. Yes, we did. Why do you ask? I responded. Where is it? Show me, Donna demanded. Ha! But you said you weren't coming, sis, I reminded her. I changed my mind. Just show it to me, Donna insisted. Here it is, Paul replied, revealing the setup. Originally, Donna had planned to skip the celebration altogether. Do we really need to celebrate that? She had remarked. But the true reason behind her reluctance was something unexpected from a daughter. Yet for some unknown reason, she decided to join. Oh, look at the esteemed writer, huh? You must be swimming in success. This fancy restaurant you've chosen, quite the high roller move, Donna remarked, eyeing the information she snatched from Paul with a snide chuckle. Why do you have to say things that irritate me? Paul snapped back. Why not? You must be raking it in, right? Though I'm making multiples of that, just so you know, she continued, her words always aimed at belittling Paul. If she truly earned multiples of his income, she'd easily clear 6 figures annually. However, there's no evidence to support this claim. Also, it was Melissa who selected the restaurant. Okay, can you please stop being so rude? Donna's intense stare made me uneasy. I instinctively retreated, asking, what's on your mind? But Donna proceeded to utter something utterly outrageous. Ah, there it is, Paul. You're finally witnessing this woman's true nature, aren't you? What? Oh, never mind. I'm excited for the celebration. Catch you later. Paul brushed off the comment. Donna then forcefully ushered both of us out the door. Strangely, she held onto the document, continuing her disruptive behavior yet again. Well, no big deal. We can print out the restaurant details whenever we need to, and then we can show my in-laws the photos to confirm, I reassured Paul. As it happened, our in-laws had completely forgotten about our visit that day and had gone to a Sunday farmers market instead. They apologized to us later for the mix-up. With the venue finalized and the reservation complete, we eagerly awaited the day of the 60th birthday celebration. As we arrived on site, Donna and our parents were already there. Despite our earlier awkward exchange with Donna, we tried to push it aside. However, her smug smile directed at me sparked a sense of unease. Nevertheless, we proceeded into the restaurant. We were led to a private room, exquisitely designed in traditional Japanese style, surpassing the beauty depicted in online photos. Just as my in-laws began to admire the room with smiles on their faces, Donna interjected from behind us, her grin mischievous. Don't let yourselves be deceived, Mom and Dad, she remarked suddenly. Suddenly, Donna pointed a finger at me and shouted, You're after our family's wealth, aren't you? Her accusation startled not only me but also Paul, my father-in-law, and my mother-in-law, leaving us all in blank surprise. Wealth? What? I stammered, utterly confused by the sudden accusation. What nonsense. We're just an ordinary middle-class family, Paul angrily interjected, but Donna's theatrics were far from over. As the eldest daughter, I'm set to inherit this house. You're planning to target my parents too, aren't you? I won't be fooled, Donna continued, her tone accusatory. I really don't understand what you're talking about. Why would you think I'd do such a thing? I attempted to reason, but Donna seemed unwilling to engage in dialogue. I've seen right through you from the start. You're a dangerous woman. Getting close to Paul, and now this, Donna accused. That's absurd, Paul and I have been together since high school. If wealth was my goal, I would have chosen differently, I defended, incredulous. Donna merely snickered at Paul's disbelief and continued her tirade. A woman not after money would have picked a more modest restaurant. But look at this lineup. All expensive places, she boasted. Donna thrust some documents she had taken from Paul a few days ago into our hands. What's the point? I asked. Don't you see? This woman believes she can manipulate your wealth however she pleases. Simple-minded men, Donna jeered, bursting into laughter, oblivious to our growing realization of the situation's hopelessness. I won't hand over the family's wealth. Paul, do you see now? This woman's true colors, Donna declared, urging Paul to understand. Having her as family is a nuisance. You two should divorce. Paul, this is an order from your elder sister for the peace and security of our home. You need to divorce her and leave. Stay away from my parents, Donna yelled, advancing towards me aggressively. That's when Paul intervened, stepping between Donna and me. What on earth are you saying? Apologize to Melissa right now. Wait a moment, Dad, Paul interjected. What's this about money? Absurd. Melissa has been helping us organize our 60th birthday celebration, and you should be doing the same. Instead, you're creating unnecessary drama, Paul's father interjected. No, Dad, take a look at this, Donna insisted, flustered as she hurriedly handed the documents to her father. My father-in-law perused the documents. If you look closely, you'll understand. She's chosen outrageously expensive venues. She's draining the wealth of a middle-class family like ours, and all the expenses are falling on you and Mom, right? Am I mistaken? He concluded with a heavy sigh. Paul and I, along with my mother-in-law, were left speechless. Oh, what? Paul's confusion was evident. She's claiming we're footing the bill for the 60th birthday celebration, I clarified. Huh? Donna's eyes widened in surprise. Well, it would be rather odd for the honoree to foot the bill, she reasoned. Wait a moment, so you're insinuating Melissa is still spending Paul's money recklessly? See, I knew it all along, Donna accused. What nonsense is this? Melissa works alongside me, and you know my salary supports us both. There's no reason for concern, Paul countered. But, Donna faltered. And what's your take on this, Mom? Donna turned to her mother, hoping for support. My mother-in-law stood there, silently, her head bowed. Exactly, Mom, you understand, right? Donna appealed. Listen, each of these venues holds cherished memories for your father and me, my mother-in-law explained. Donna was stunned. Melissa specifically consulted us about it. She wanted to incorporate our memories into the celebration and choose a menu based on them, my mother-in-law continued. No way, your disrespectful accusations are truly shameful. My mother-in-law's voice quivered with emotion. Tana was finally realizing her misconceptions, but it was too late to amend her errors, a realization that would soon become painfully clear. You've caused enough trouble. You're not welcome here anymore. Go home, Paul's father declared. But Dad, why are you being so harsh? I'm your daughter. You can't just throw me out, Donna protested. But you were planning on not attending in the first place, weren't you? Don't worry about the cancellation fee. I'll cover it, Paul's father replied firmly. Wait, hold on. It seems we failed in raising you properly. We've indulged you as our daughter, but now we've reached our limit. Leaving is for the best. Don't make decisions without consulting us, Paul's mother added, turning to Donna. I agree. What do you, Paul, and Melissa think? My mother-in-law's smile was unsettling as she spoke cheerfully. Donna looked at us with teary eyes as if pleading for help, but I remembered your sister's advice not to intervene in family matters. No, that was about my parents, I interjected. Ah, I see. Then I'll keep my distance. Please leave, my mother-in-law concluded, her tone final. Sister-in-law, Donna reached out for me, but my father-in-law swiftly intervened, positioning himself between Donna and me. Go home, he commanded, his voice low and stern. Donna glanced at my father-in-law's determined expression, recoiled, and promptly exited the restaurant. Afterward, we celebrated my in-laws' 60th birthdays and savored our meal. Upon returning home, it was apparent that Donna had been sulking. However, my father-in-law reiterated that she should leave. Donna burst into tears and caused a scene, prompting us to contemplate sending her to a rehabilitation facility. I'm not sick, she spat out before disappearing. Rumors circulated that she found a job at a dormitory, but she struggled to maintain it, frequently changing jobs and addresses. Meanwhile, we remained dedicated to our daily grind. Our bond with my in-laws remained strong, and we cherished our time together. While we couldn't help but worry about our sister-in-law's well-being, we had no desire to endure her selfish behavior again. My priority remained supporting my husband so he could devote more energy to his work.
I've already invested $60,000 simply to ensure your happiness. Yet, how could you reduce me to merely a wallet or an ATM? We don't recall ever soliciting your assistance. Lily, Max's wife, scoffed with disdain. Why don't you attempt to cease the payments if they trouble you so much? After all, I am quite capable of handling it myself, Max added in a dismissive tone, echoing his wife's sentiments. Even Max, my eldest son whom I've raised, behaves in such a manner. After coercing me into covering the costs of a $20,000 engagement party and then a $40,000 wedding, they have the audacity to treat me like this. They only perceive me as a source of funds, lamented Chloe, Max's mother, feeling disheartened by the lack of gratitude. I must have made a mistake in raising my son. I'll never allow them to manipulate me again, Chloe declared, firm in her resolve. I've heard you loud and clear, Max retorted. Are you sure about that? You know we won't let you see your grandchild, right? He threatened. You don't have to. I'd be more than happy to discontinue the payments, Chloe responded calmly. From that point on, Max and Lily faced a steep decline in their fortunes, having treated Chloe like a bottomless source of money. My name is Chloe. I'm 56 years old. I've been struggling alone ever since my husband passed away 12 years ago. Between my job and raising my 2 children, I've always had my hands full, Chloe reflected on her life. I'm currently an executive at a decent company that I've been with since before I got married. To the outside world, I guess you could call me a career woman, she continued. The children who were high schoolers when my husband died have now graduated college and are working, so I'm a bit relieved. I just wish they'd settle down and start their own family soon, Chloe sighed, contemplating her future. Living comfortably in the condominium that she used to share with her children, Chloe's life took an unexpected turn when Max called her one day. I want to introduce you to a woman I'm thinking of marrying, Max said excitedly. Delighted, Chloe agreed, and when Max brought Lily, his fiancée, to meet her, Chloe couldn't help but be proud. Nice to meet you. I look forward to getting to know you, Chloe greeted Lily warmly. The woman Max introduced as Lily was a receptionist at his company, strikingly beautiful, and Chloe couldn't help but feel pleased that her son had found someone like her. Congratulations to you both. I'm here to support your happiness, Chloe said, beaming with joy. Their conversation flowed, and eventually, the topic of the engagement party arose. We're planning to have an engagement party soon, Max informed Chloe. I need to start preparations. Then, Mom, could you cover the $20,000 cost for the engagement party? Max sprung the request on Chloe, his mother. Taken aback by the hefty sum, Chloe hesitated momentarily. I thought the average cost was around $10,000. However, seeing their happy faces, I couldn't refuse and agreed. Of course, it's a happy occasion, she conceded. Later, Chloe's eldest daughter, Mia, paid her a visit. How's work going? The deadline was yesterday, Chloe inquired, concerned for Mia's well-being. I'm managing well, so don't worry, Maya reassured her mother. A manga artist, Mia hadn't yet struck gold with a major hit but managed to make a living through her series. With her talent in drawing and her love for manga, it seemed like the perfect fit for her. By the way, Mom, Max is getting married, isn't he? Mia inquired. Yes, he came by the other day with his fiancée, Lily, to introduce her. They've asked for $20,000 for the engagement party, Chloe informed Mia. Wow, $20,000 is a hefty sum for sure, Maya remarked. It's not like that. Apparently, they're going to split it for their wedding funds and to send gifts of gratitude. Is that how it works? Chloe wondered aloud. On the day of the engagement party, Chloe handed over the promised $20,000. Both Lily and her parents looked delighted. We'll use this to start our new life together, they exclaimed, stashing away the money. There were no gifts of gratitude that Chloe expected, but she reminded herself that this was typical of engagement parties. As long as they could have a happy marriage, she reasoned, it was okay. However, a few days later, Max dropped a bombshell. I want a grand wedding with lots of company and connections invited, maybe around 250 people, he announced. That sounds wonderful. And with that, Mom, I'd like to ask you to cover the upfront cost of the wedding, Max requested. What? I was under the impression that weddings were funded by the couple themselves, Chloe protested. I'm counting on you, Mom. It's pretty standard for parents to pay for the wedding, but didn't I give a lot of money for the engagement party? Lily's parents are frail and can't contribute, and I'll give you back the wedding gift, Max pressed on, leaving Chloe feeling reluctant to agree. I opened the bill Max had brought, and to my shock, the amount totaled $40,000. The idea of such an upfront cost made my head spin. How grand of a wedding were they planning? Wait a minute, isn't this a bit too much? Why not have a wedding within your means? I questioned, feeling overwhelmed. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event, and Lily doesn't want to compromise. Plus, don't you want Lily's parents to see how happy she is? Max countered, cornering me. Being pressured like that, I couldn't refuse. All right, it's indeed a joyous once-in-a-lifetime occasion, I conceded reluctantly. Seeing my consent, Max smiled and thanked me before leaving the room. Later, I transferred the upfront cost of $40,000 to the wedding venue. It was difficult to part with the money I had been saving for my retirement, but I told myself it was for my child's happiness. 2 months later, on the wedding day, the venue was more luxurious than I had anticipated. Mia and I arrived early in the morning to change into our dresses and get our hair done. As I approached the bride and groom's dressing room to knock, I'd overheard their conversation. I can't believe we're able to have such a lavish wedding, thanks to Mom, Max exclaimed. Absolutely, and she gave us $20,000 for the engagement party. I even managed to buy a new bag. What a great wallet, more like an ATM. Let's keep withdrawing from it, Max, Lily chimed in. That's mean, Maya whispered, stunned by their conversation. Lily continued gleefully, if we ask her, she'll probably cover the rest of the wedding costs, right? Of course you will. Leave it to me. Then let's use the wedding gift for a honeymoon trip to Hawaii. And of course, we'll take my parents along. How about buying a high-rise apartment for our new home? That sounds perfect. Let's get my mother to cover the cost. She does have the money, after all, Max proposed eagerly. My hand, raised to knock on the door, trembled. Mia gently held my shoulder and led me away from the door, breathing slowly. I grasped Mia's hand, which rested gently on my shoulder, and whispered, Mia, there's something I need you to look into when the ceremony starts. Of course, Mom. Leave it to me, Maya assured me. And so Max and Lily's wedding commenced. From their vows in the chapel to the toasts at the start of the reception, my mind was consumed with the conversation between Max and Lily earlier. Even as the MC introduced me and the spotlight fell on me, all I could manage was a bow. Mia, who had been circulating and offering toasts, returned to me. Mom, I checked with Lily's relatives. Both of her parents are perfectly healthy. That's horrible. We need to confront them. I'll be right there with you, I declared. Just as Mia spoke, it was time for the first wardrobe change. Lily exited first, followed by Max. As Max emerged, the MC announced, now the groom will exit escorted by his mother, Chloe, who raised him single-handedly. Summoned, I walked down the aisle to meet Max. A little tipsy, Max was in high spirits, announcing into the MC's microphone, This is my amazing mom. Keeping a straight face, I walked beside Max, exited the hall, and headed straight to the dressing room where Maya was waiting. She approached Max and began, Max, there's something I need to ask you. What is it, sis? Make it quick. I need to change and get back, Max replied curtly as he undressed. I've heard the conversation in the dressing room earlier. How could you talk about Mom like that? Mia confronted him. Huh, you were listening? Well, whatever. Max dismissed her with a shrug. Taken aback by Max's attitude, Lily, who had already changed into her dress, entered the room. "Mother-in-law and sister-in-law, what's going on?" she demanded. "Mia found out that your parents are healthy. They both have good jobs. Why are you making our mom pay for everything? What's going on?" I added, unable to contain my frustration. "What is this? Some kind of sister-in-law bullying?" "Scary," Lily mocked, dramatically recoiling. My patience snapped at her mocking attitude. "I've already paid $60,000 hoping for your happiness, and yet you treat people like they're wallets, ATMs. What kind of language is that?" I confronted Lily, exasperated by her dismissive attitude. Hearing this, Lily laughed as if it were a joke. "Acting all high and mighty for such a small sum. We're not in your debt. Besides, it's normal for the groom's parents to pay for the wedding, right? But you lied about your parents being ill to buy a new bag." "Who? You were eavesdropping. That's a terrible hobby," Lily retorted, mocking Mia. Mia, angered by Lily's words, snapped back, "Watch your mouth. I don't want to be told off by someone doing some weird job as a manga artist. It's because you're such a nerd that you can't get married." "That's right, you're hopeless when it comes to marriage, sis," Max chimed in, joining Lily in the mockery. Stunned speechless by their cruelty, I tried to scold them, but Max just laughed and responded, "If you're going to talk like that, try stopping the payments. After all, I'm an elite. I can easily handle it. Well, it'll be a shame to lose the cash cow." I had paid $20,000 for the engagement party and $40,000 for the wedding, and this was how they repaid me. No gratitude, only cruelty. Feeling like I had failed somewhere in raising my son, I made a firm decision. I've had enough. I won't be manipulated by them anymore. "I've heard all you have to say." "Are you sure about that?" "If you don't listen to us, you won't see your grandchild," Max threatened. "That's fine. You don't need to bring them over. I'll gladly stop the payments," I replied firmly, refusing to yield to their threats. Max and Lily stared at me, stunned, as I continued, "I'm severing hard ties here. I wish you all the best." Taking Maya's hand, we left the venue, the joyous noise of the reception still audible as we departed. A month later, as Mia and I were enjoying some tea at home, the intercom rang with a shrill tone. "Oh, Mom, it's Max. What should we do?" Mia asked, uncertainty evident in her voice. It had been a month since I last saw Max. When he showed up unexpectedly, he looked remarkably worn and tired. "Mom, you must have received the bill for the wedding venue by now. Why haven't you paid?" Max questioned urgently. "Huh? Oh, the bill for the remaining balance. It was $45,000, right? It arrived, but I have no obligation to pay it," I replied, taken aback by his insistence. "Don't be like that. In the end, we didn't receive many wedding gifts and couldn't pay the bill, so now we're in debt," Max explained, pleading for understanding. At that, Mia laughed and chimed in. "From what I overheard at the wedding, it seems you two have quite a bad reputation. Max, you've been throwing your weight around at work, doing haphazard jobs. And Lily, you've been putting down other women, flaunting your looks in marriage. I can see why people wouldn't want to give wedding gifts to people like you." "Hey sis, stay out of this," Max snapped, clearly annoyed by Mia's comment. I sighed deeply. "You too? It's not just me you haven't been considerate of. It's everyone around you. The wedding expenses are your own doing. Please pay them yourselves." Desperately, Max pleaded, "Mom, I'm in a bind here. Lily can't control her spending, and even her parents have started to take advantage of me. Lily's love of money isn't exactly a new revelation, Mom. Plus, having seen Lily, I can easily imagine her parents behaving the same way. Please, Mom, think about helping us. Give us some money." I sternly replied, "You were the one who said I'm an elite, and it'll be a piece of cake. You told me to stop making payments, didn't you? And didn't you say that we were severing our ties? I have no obligation to give you any more money. Mom, don't call me Mom. I don't want to be called that by someone who has only ever seen me as a cash cow. To be honest, I'd like you to repay me for the wedding and the engagement party, but I'll write it off as a settlement payment. Now please leave," I declared firmly. Max, who had looked shocked, now had a malicious look on his face. "Hey, are you really okay with this, Mom? Cutting ties with us like that? How will you spend your old age without a husband? Don't you want to see your grandchild?" he challenged. Before I could respond, Mia intervened. "Don't worry about that. I will be by Mom's side. And what can an unsuccessful comic artist like you do? You can't even have children. Shut up, Max," she retorted sharply. Max, frothing at the mouth with anger, sneered, "Ah, so scary. Sure, you mock me as a failed manga artist or an otaku, yet my manga was among the top-selling Kyoto manga this year. Did you know it's set to be turned into an anime and movie next year? Safe to say, I'm in a much better financial state than you and your debts." At this point, Max noticed something. "Hey, is that this? Oh, you noticed." "Yes, that's what's happening," Mia confirmed, flashing the ring on her left ring finger. "I'm getting married to my editor. He's a big shot at a major publishing house, a real high flyer. So we can take care of Mom. We don't need you anyway. We never intended to have our children care for us." "Thanks, Mia. We're having a wedding, but we'll handle everything ourselves. We'll invite Mom, Max, but you don't need to come," Mia concluded, leaving Max stunned. I said, "Did you get it now? Never bother us again." With those words, Mia and I steadily pushed Max towards the front door. "Please, Mom, and you too." "Sis," Max pleaded, but it was time to make a stand. Then something came to mind. "What are you going to give us money for?" Max's hopeful expression turned sour as I continued. "That director at your wedding? Turns out, I didn't know, but he's a client of my company. It seems your hiring and all your undeserved privileges were out of consideration for me. I told them to stop that, though." "What? You didn't hear about this? Stop it, please. Handle it on your own. Now goodbye." With finality, Mia and I pushed Max outside and firmly locked the door. Max made a fuss outside, but after ignoring him for a while, it became quiet. A year passed since then. Right after that incident, I sold a house to avoid Max and Lily's visit and bought an apartment with elderly services for my old age. According to a neighbor from my condo, Max and Lily showed up and created a scene, asking why I wasn't there. Hence, I believe my decision was the right one. As for Max and Lily, they'd abandoned their dream of a luxury high-rise apartment and now live in a cramped space. Max, it seems, was demoted after his actions were reviewed. Perhaps hurt from falling from his elite status, Max worsened his attitude towards others. Surprisingly, he's not fired yet. Lily, who quit her job upon marriage, continued to splurge for a while, but their funds quickly ran out. Even with their debts, Lily's luxurious habits did not change, and her parents continued to demand money. Apparently, they quarrel daily. I hope the two learn the hardship of earning money and appreciate the people around them and grow up, though that might be too much to ask from them. I still maintain a good relationship with Mia. Mia's husband is a good man who treats me well, and they are expecting a baby. I plan to spoil my lovely daughter and grandchild, and looking forward to it keeps me working every day. Could this truly be my family? That lingering question plagued my thoughts as I watched them put on their facade, smiles masking their true intentions. It didn't take long for me to harbor resentment toward this semblance of kinship. My name is Samantha, a 28-year-old homemaker. A year ago, I exchanged vows and moved back into my childhood home with my new family. Our circumstances unraveled due to 3 undeniable reasons. Firstly, my father's company succumbed to bankruptcy, leaving him adrift in a sea of unemployment. Secondly, my elder brother Ryan remains jobless, a fact deemed intolerable in the eyes of our family patriarch. Despite his claims of being a YouTuber, our parents failed to perceive his endeavor as legitimate employment. Thirdly, the looming presence of my mother's terminal illness hangs over us like a dark cloud. Diagnosed shortly before my marriage, she was given a mere 2 years to live. The convergence of these events unfolded in rapid succession, altering the fabric of our lives irreversibly. My father proposed that my husband, Alex, move in with us. Given their close bond and frequent shared moments over drinks, Alex readily agreed. Considering my mother's condition, I too consented to the arrangement, feeling grateful for Alex's support. I was determined to care for my parents to the best of my ability. However, as the year passed since our marriage and cohabitation, my patience with my brother Ryan began to wear thin. It's been quite some time. Why are you content with being a housewife when dad is without a job? Isn't it odd that you're not contributing financially? Do you even understand the gravity of mom's situation? What would happen if I didn't handle the household chores, laundry, and meals, Ryan? It's me who's taking care of it all. Your tone drips with sarcasm, yet you have the audacity to speak to me in such a manner. And what about your so-called work from home? Oh, you mean those meager earnings from your side hustle? That hardly qualifies as real work. I don't need to hear this from you, Ryan. Find a real job. Clear? Those words sliced through me like a knife, igniting a firestorm of indignation within. His unfounded accusations left me feeling unjustly attacked, as if I were being painted as the villain in a story I had no part in. When I sought solace in Alex's counsel, his dismissive response of "he's probably just stressed, don't pay him any mind," offered little comfort, failing to grasp the gravity of my predicament. With my mother's illness weighing heavily on my mind, my brother's callous behavior only added fuel to the fire of my frustration. I couldn't shake the nagging question of whether he even cared about our mother's well-being. His indifference seemed glaringly obvious, leaving me to grapple with mounting stress and anxiety. Hey, looks like my workload might be ramping up. If it does, I might have to skip our usual spa trips for a while. I'm fine with that, but as long as you can handle things at home, we still got to take care of my mom. Don't worry, I won't slack off on my duties. Need some extra cash or anything? No, not really. But could you come grocery shopping with me this weekend? If I buy everything for the week in one go, it'll free up some time for work. If you're serious about this, sure, we'll make a trip out of it. Keen to save time, I opted for a weekend grocery run, planning to stock up for the entire week in one shot to minimize future trips. Then, an unexpected incident unfolded. So, Mad Dog, you've swiped my cash. Out of nowhere, my husband pointed an accusing finger at me, alleging theft. Bewildered, I struggled to comprehend his accusations, let alone discern which money he was referring to. His face flushed crimson with anger as he directed his ire toward me. I couldn't fathom why he'd pin it on me. If anything, I should be the one furious. Blaming others isn't fair. Was it taken from your wallet? Don't act innocent. The $3,000 I stashed in the drawer is nowhere to be found. $3,000? Look, return it now, and we can put this behind us. Wait a minute. Why am I the scapegoat here? I had no clue you were hoarding such a hefty sum in the drawer. But you mentioned you were planning to take on more work lately. I found it rather suspicious. I can't believe you'd think so low of me. No, you've got it all twisted. Please trust me. I'm sorry, but I can't continue this if you won't trust me. Stop this nonsense. Give it back. No, I said give it back. Enough. If you're going to harbor that much doubt, then go ahead. Consider me gone, treated like a criminal in my own family. I'll be out of here by the day's end. I snapped, my patience worn thin by the accusations hurled at me by my own family. Banished from the house, I left in a storm of frustration. However, the next day, I received a frantic call from my brother Ryan. Mom's in a terrible state. What? Ever since she realized you were gone, she's been in a state of panic, screaming for you. You need to return and calm her down. I refuse to set foot in that house again. I'm entrusting Mom to you, Ryan. You've never stepped up before, so now's your chance. With a steely resolve, I spoke, though inwardly conflicted. The tug of war between my pride and my worry for Mom weighed heavily on me. Enough with the bravado. This is too much for me to handle alone. She only listens to you, so just come back. Even Alex doesn't know how to handle this. I don't care. You reap what you sow. I will return, and I'm filing for divorce. I couldn't care less about that. It's none of my concern. But if it comes to it, you should take Mom with you. This is Mom and Dad's home. Why should I be the one to leave? If anyone should go, it's you, Ryan. If you're working, you should be self-sufficient. As the eldest son, this house belongs to me. There's no way I'm budging. You have some nerve. Have you ever stopped to think about Mom's well-being? She's fighting an illness right now. I'll return on one condition. You leave, Ryan. Those are my terms. I can't agree to that. It's simply not possible. Quit being so self-centered and come back already. Even amidst such turmoil, Ryan remained obstinate and self-centered. Meanwhile, Alex's absence was conspicuous, seemingly content to linger in the house. Perhaps feeling uneasy, he only returned to sleep, opting to dine elsewhere. My departure had evidently triggered a cascade of discord within the family. I hadn't realized our bonds were so fragile. Then, after a month had elapsed, Alex finally reached out. Hey, how long do you plan to stay away? Come back already. Your mother-in-law is becoming increasingly difficult to handle, posing a significant challenge. Once that's sorted and you've left, we can proceed with the divorce, of course. I'll return. Are you seriously considering that? Of course. I've been accused of theft and ejected from my own home. Wasn't that just an argument in the heat of the moment? You doubted your own family. I feel like I've failed in life. There's no trust left. Don't be ridiculous. The money is missing, and you're the only logical suspect. It's absurd to point fingers without evidence. Spare me your lectures. Just return the money, and we can put an end to this. You're the one acting foolish. Stop with the accusations. The truth is, you were desperate for money at that time. It's all too convenient. The culprit could only be you, criminal. Enough! Do you even want to know why I needed the money? I couldn't care less. Probably some frivolous purchase, like jewelry or whatnot. You were itching to get your hands on that cash. What's happening tomorrow? Huh? Are you serious? You don't even remember your own birthday. Oh, my birthday. Hold on, don't tell me. That's correct. Just as you suspected. I thought it was about time you had a new suit, and since you mentioned wanting a custom-made one, I was saving up for it. But it wasn't enough. Idiot! You know custom suits cost a fortune, and we can't afford that. That's precisely why I wanted to surprise you with it so badly. Yet you accused me of theft, and that hurt. Hold on, I had no idea. Please forgive me. It's not something to get so worked up about, right? I can't forgive you. The trust is shattered, so it's over. I'm sorry, but divorce is the only option now. That's why I've already consulted a lawyer. Or an attorney. Cut that out. I want to resolve this swiftly and return to my mom's place. I refuse. I won't divorce, and I won't vacate this house. We're meant to inherit it, after all. Huh? My resolve to divorce only solidified as Alex's demeanor remained unchanged. If he persists with this attitude, the divorce proceedings are bound to become tumultuous. Nevertheless, I stood firm in my decision. Amidst these thoughts, my brother reached out to me once more. Stop this nonsense. You need to return immediately. No chance. Why didn't you say anything before? What do you mean? Mom spilled the beans. She revealed that you've been footing the mortgage on this house. And not just that, you've been covering all the living expenses as well. Isn't it odd that you were unaware? And your job alone wouldn't suffice to cover all the expenses. But we can't afford the mortgage. What are you talking about? You have a job, yet you haven't contributed a dime to the household expenses. It's your responsibility to pay. Well, yes, but I invested in a computer, a top-of-the-line one. It was quite pricey. What? You spend money on a computer? Because I needed it for work. What choice did I have? Oh, so you're making enough to afford such luxuries. Then surely you can contribute to the mortgage, right? I've already told you I can't afford it. And your husband isn't chipping in for household expenses either. What's going on? Until now, I've been covering everything with my earnings, but now that Alex is dining out for every meal, there's no surplus money. What are we going to do? We need to come up with a solution fast. If we don't pay the mortgage, we'll end up homeless. And what about Mom and Dad? I had reached my limit with my brother's self-centered mindset. Enough already. Who cares about your video game streaming? You barely have 100 subscribers, and your views are in single digits. You won't make any money like that. Nobody watches because it's not interesting. How would you know? I just searched for video game streaming, and it popped up. Wearing a mask and sunglasses doesn't make you unrecognizable. How did you afford a computer with that? Don't tell me I didn't take any money from your husband. How would you know about that? Something doesn't add up. Well, actually, I overheard your conversation. What? There was nobody home when we had that argument. You were out, which is unusual for you. That's a misunderstanding. You must have mixed up the dates. Quit playing games. You're the one who stole it, aren't you? If you don't confess, I'll report you to the police. Wait, hold on. Report me to the police. Please, no, don't do that. I just found some money and I borrowed it. I promise I'll pay it back. Stop with the excuses. I'll never forgive you. Get out of my house now. I'll be back tomorrow, and if you're still here, I'm calling the cops. Don't talk to me like that. We're siblings. We're family. Can't things just stay the same? Don't try to sweet-talk your way out of this. I'll never forgive you. Remember that. Leave before I return tomorrow. Consider yourself warned. Without another word, I ended the call with my brother and switched off my phone. It seemed like he kept calling incessantly afterward, but I ignored it all. The next morning, I returned home. I'm back. My mother rushed to greet me. Mom, you're home. I'm so relieved. I never realized how much we need you, Samantha. I'm truly sorry. Mom, it's not your fault. As we conversed in the living room, my brother Ryan emerged from his room, uttering words that left me dumbfounded. So, you decided to grace us with your presence. Here are the details for the loan repayment. Make sure it's transferred today. Also, I've got a tab open at the delivery place, so you can handle that too. It's your fault for disappearing like this. Take some time to reflect on your actions. What on earth are you saying? Stop this nonsense. I told you to leave. I will call the police. You're risking everything over just $3,000. What $3,000? Don't pretend you don't. Whine all you want. But borrowing a little isn't that big of a deal. You're making a fuss over nothing. Big deal? You take my money, then brush it off like it's nothing. That's not fair, is it? Can I have it back? I don't recall lending it to you. Living under my roof doesn't give you the right to be so entitled. We're family. Can't you just let it slide? No, I can't just let it slide. Give it back. Are you sure you want to continue like this? You might not have a place to stay much longer. Witnessing Alex and my brother's argument, my father intervened. This is unlike you, Dad. Enough. Both of you leave this house. It's my house, and currently, Samantha is the one paying the mortgage. I won't hand it over to anyone. I may be the eldest son, but why is my sister taking charge? You're just the eldest son in name. What have you accomplished? You've been holed up, gaming all day. No job, just coasting on the money I've earned, right? You're over 40. Act your age. Leave. That's too harsh. Isn't it heartless to kick out a man with no means? I've been saying this for ages. This isn't a sudden problem. You could sell that computer of yours. You're not even working. Wait a minute. When I say leave, you leave. And that includes you. What? But I haven't done anything. Haven't done anything? Who drove Samantha away, treating her like a criminal? Marriage is built on trust. Once that's broken, family falls apart. I apologize. I'm sorry. But it was your son, Ryan, who stole, wasn't it? Don't pin it all on me. You befriended me just to worm your way into inheriting my assets, didn't you? The moment I lost my job and the company's collapse, you treated me like dirt because I'm a broke father, right? How despicable. What a vile person you are. I don't want to lay eyes on you. Get out. Don't you dare mess with me. My father's words left me stunned. Perhaps his sudden outburst was the culmination of his frustration reaching its peak. The divorce with Alex was finalized swiftly, ending abruptly. It felt surprisingly relieving, considering I anticipated it to be more complicated. However, after that, Alex reached out to me numerous times. It seems the reason for our divorce became gossip at his workplace, and he couldn't handle it, so he quit. He needs to realize that relying on others' money won't lead him anywhere, and my brother appears to be struggling, taking up a cleaning job at the station. A late start indeed. As for me, I have no choice but to give it my all, praying for my mother's prolonged life. Our family is starting anew with just the three of us, and the brightness has returned to our home life.
Emily, is Grandpa behaving himself? Well, sort of. He injured his leg. Old people can be such a nuisance. I wish they'd think about those of us who have to take care of them. Patricia, that's not a nice way to say it. It's fine. He's already declining quite a bit. I can't handle the fuss of old people, but you're used to it, so you'll be fine. The other day, my husband's grandfather, Michael, fell in a garden and injured his leg. It's not a serious injury, but he's already 82 years old. Because of his age, we're having him rest in bed just to be safe so it doesn't get worse. My mother-in-law won't even go near him, let alone take care of him. I'm Emily, 30 years old. I married 3 years ago and live with my husband Daniel's family. My husband was my boss at the company where I worked, a company founded by his grandfather. When I joined 8 years ago, my father-in-law was already the president and my grandfather-in-law was the chairman. But back then, the grandfather was still handling all the important tasks and responsibilities of the company. 2 years ago, when Grandpa turned 80, he remained chairman but handed over most of the public duties to my father-in-law. Michael, you've worked hard all this time. Now, leave the company matters to Christopher and take it easy, my mother-in-law said with a smile, but her words sounded sarcastic to me. Grandfather-in-law is a bit stubborn but a fair and kind person with a good reputation. In contrast, my father-in-law seems somewhat immature, never expressing his opinions clearly and utterly unreliable compared to Grandpa. And he always does whatever my mother-in-law says. My grandmother-in-law has already passed away, and I never met her. My husband and I started dating when we worked together on the same product planning team 3 years after I joined the company. My husband, energetically leading the team, seemed reliable to me, though a bit self-righteous. Maybe I felt that way because I lost my father early and grew up with just my mother. My mother also passed away from illness 2 years ago, and now I have no family other than my in-laws. Shortly after I got married, my mother fell ill and needed care, so I quit my job to take care of her. The fact that my husband's family didn't object was probably due to a single comment from Grandpa. It's only natural to take care of the mother who raised you alone. Don't worry and take good care of her. Thanks to that, I was able to be by my mother's side every day for a year without financial worries until she passed away. My mother-in-law seemed a bit dissatisfied, but I was truly grateful. However, since Grandpa handed over the company to my father-in-law, everyone's attitudes towards him have gradually changed. They no longer listen to his opinions as much, and I can't shake the feeling that they're treating him carelessly. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but watching my mother-in-law and husband's behavior, I can't help but feel that way. My father-in-law's attitude is non-committal, but it feels like he's ignoring Grandpa as if he's no longer needed since he's practically retired. Watching my in-laws' behavior, I feel somewhat angry. Hey, don't you think your attitude, Patricia, and yours too, is a bit cold towards Grandpa? So what's the big deal? Grandpa tries to talk to you and you barely respond. You don't even try to help them. Like I have time to deal with old people. You can take care of Grandpa. You're the one with the free time. You don't have to talk like that. Quiet, I'm tired from work. Don't add me about unnecessary things. This is how it goes no matter. They won't listen to me. My grandfather-in-law doesn't say anything to his family about this. Now I'm the only one who talks to my grandfather-in-law at home. Grandpa, the weather is nice today. Shall we go for a little walk outside? Your leg seems to be healing well, and I think it will be good rehabilitation. Thank you. Let's go out for a bit then. The two of us went to the park, where there were several families with children playing around. My grandfather-in-law looked at the scene with joy. Christopher and Daniel enjoyed times like that too. Grandpa, I was busy with work and couldn't take care of the children much. Maybe that's why I couldn't raise Christopher and Daniel properly, my grandfather-in-law said with a slightly sad face, almost like he was talking to himself. Christopher is my father-in-law, and Daniel is my husband. I think about how everyone can be kinder to my grandfather-in-law, but I can't come up with a good idea. But then my in-laws suggested building a house for my grandfather-in-law. This house is over 50 years old, right? The layout is bad. It's hard to use. But instead of spending money on repairs, it would be better to build a new house in a more convenient location. A new house? Michael is getting older, and it's good that he only got injured last time, but we never know what will happen. So let's make the house barrier-free so we won't have trouble if care is needed. I see. We can even put Michael's room in the middle so everyone can take care of him easily. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Right, so it's settled then. And Michael, at the cost. If it's a house for all of us, I'll take care of it. Talk to Mr. Jones about the money. Typical Michael, thank you. We appreciate it, my mother-in-law smiled happily. It seems to me that they only flatter him when they want money. But if everyone takes care of my grandfather-in-law after moving to the new house, I thought there could be nothing better. Mr. Jones is the company's in-house counsel and also manages my grandfather-in-law's personal assets. My grandfather-in-law liked his character and made him in-house counsel, and it's been nearly 30 years. He is 58 now and the person my grandfather-in-law trusts the most. I've met him several times and he seems to be a very honest person. He always cares about my grandfather-in-law's health, and sometimes I think he's more like a son than his real sons. Having such people around my grandfather-in-law makes me feel a little relieved. I wasn't informed about the details of the house being built, but my mother-in-law seemed very cheerful, and the three of them were looking at interior design magazines and discussing various things, so it seemed to be going smoothly. Then something unexpected happened. It was revealed that my grandfather-in-law had a debt of $1,820,000. Wait, what's this about $1,820,000? I exclaimed. My grandfather-in-law had become a co-signer for a loan for a friend's company, but that company was in trouble, and a debt had become my grandfather-in-law's responsibility. Wait, they're not going to take the house. It's under construction, are they? Since the contract has already been completed, and as Patricia said, it's in the president's name, so it's fine, my mother-in-law seemed relieved at those words. Oh, thank goodness. I'm glad we did it my way. Listening to that conversation, I learned for the first time that the house was in my father-in-law's name. Even though my grandfather-in-law had paid for it, putting it in my father-in-law's name seemed just like something my mother-in-law would do. I also wondered why they didn't think of giving up the house to help repay the debt. Hey, this debt is Michael's fault, and it has nothing to do with us or the company, right? Well, it was signed in Michael's name. Oh good, then there's no problem. I couldn't understand what was good about it, but since my grandfather-in-law didn't say anything during that conversation, I didn't intervene either. After all, it's not an amount I could handle. A few days later, my grandfather-in-law's behavior began to change gradually. Grandpa, what would you like to eat for lunch? Who are you calling Grandpa? I'm only 50. You have no right to call me that. Huh? Sorry, Emily, right? I was lost in thought. At first, I thought he was just deep in thought, and when it happened repeatedly, I began to feel uneasy. Patricia, what are you doing? Where's my meal? Grandpa, I'm Emily. Patricia is your daughter-in-law. You ate your meal earlier. Didn't eat? Are you trying to starve me? I wondered if my grandfather-in-law's condition was triggered by the $1,820,000 debt, and seeing that none of his family members were trying to help him might have been a double shock. I tried to persuade my grandfather-in-law to go to the hospital, but he adamantly refused. He might not want to admit that he could have dementia. I didn't want to force him, but I felt helpless on my own. I consulted my husband, but he simply brushed it off, saying it had nothing to do with him. My mother-in-law wasn't any help either, so I turned to my father-in-law as the only option. Yeah, I heard from Patricia, Daniel. They think it might be dementia. Can you go to the hospital with us? I asked him. But it's not that bad yet, right? If we go to the hospital, others will find out my father has dementia, he responded. There are good medications now that can slow the progression. Well, there's no need to rush. Let's watch him a little longer. Emily is here, so they'll be fine, right? I couldn't help but feel frustrated by their lack of concern. I couldn't depend on them. Grandpa, let's go to the hospital. Let's get you properly examined, I urged. Who are you? Where are you planning to take me? You're up to no good, he retorted. I felt tears welling up, seeing how stubborn my once kind grandfather-in-law had become. But my mother-in-law just laughed, amused. Even if he was the chairman, it's over for him now. But now everything, even the company, is all Christopher's, she remarked casually.
Patricia, Grandpa isn't completely unaware. He's listening to everything. He'll forget everything soon. He'll start wandering, dribbling. Just thinking about it gives me chills. He's nothing but a nuisance now, I protested. How can you say that? Grandpa has worked hard for the family all of his life. My mother-in-law's words made me both angry and sad. But my grandfather-in-law just smiled. See, this old man doesn't understand anything, she added, laughing. Patricia, I was furious at my mother-in-law's callousness. But soon the new house would be ready. Perhaps things might change once we move there. Since it's a house that Grandpa built, the family might show some gratitude and be kind to him. I couldn't completely abandon that faint hope. And 2 months later, the house was finally built. For days, I had been compelled to pack my in-laws' and husband's belongings, while my father-in-law's and my own items remained mostly untouched. Even when I attempted to organize my things, my in-laws and husband kept assigning me tasks, preventing any progress. However, I reasoned it would be okay to relocate the smaller items later since this house wasn't disappearing. On moving day, after transferring most of the belongings, I went to call my father-in-law, but my husband intercepted me. "Ah, you and Grandpa can stay here," he announced. "What? You can stay in his house? We don't need any extra baggage in the new house. In other words, you and Grandpa will live here from now on, and I'll give you Grandpa's debt too." "Well, you can at least be a housekeeper. Hey, let's go." "Yeah, I'm coming. Good luck with all the debt repayment and live-in care." My in-laws cheerfully departed, leaving me stunned. For a while, I couldn't comprehend what had just occurred. Were we abandoned, not just me, but also my grandfather-in-law, only they would reside in the new house? It took me some time to grasp because it was beyond my imagination that someone could be so cruel. How should I explain this to my grandfather-in-law? Slowly, I made my way back to the rear room. I didn't mind caring for my grandfather-in-law at all. That was my intention from the start. As I timidly prepared to call out to him, noticing his back facing me, he seemed to sense my presence and turned around before I could speak. "Have they gone already?" His expression as he uttered those words looked entirely different from what it had been just months ago. To be honest, he seemed like a different person. I wondered if a new symptom had emerged, but the next moment my grandfather-in-law smiled, and his subsequent words caught me off guard. As I was talking to my grandfather-in-law, Mr. Jones came. "Chairman, have you finished getting rid of the unnecessary staff?" "Yes, it's all done. Let's go, shall we?" Where are we going?" "Of course, to the new house." I left the house where I had been residing, guided by my grandfather-in-law, without fully understanding what was unfolding. The following month, my mother-in-law and husband bombarded me with countless calls. My grandfather-in-law declared he wouldn't entertain their calls anymore, but I answered my husband's call due to the looming divorce. "Hey, Emily, is Grandpa with you? When I went to the old house, it was up for sale. It's not worth $1,820,000, so you can't repay the debt." "Is that why you did that?" my husband interrogated. "What do you mean?" "Put Grandpa on. Dad said he can't get in touch at all. That forgetful old man has done something outrageous." I knew what he was referring to, but I wanted to hear my husband's side of the story. Grandpa sold the company's stocks to the executive director. Thanks to that, the executive director became the largest shareholder, and a shareholders' meeting and board meeting were held, resulting in Dad being dismissed as president. But the executive director is well-liked, and maybe Grandpa thought it was better to hand over the company to him. The executive director must have deceived the senile old man into selling the stocks. This is invalid. You seem to be misunderstanding something, but Grandpa doesn't have dementia. If anything, he seems more coherent than before. What? Until that moving day, I genuinely believed that my grandfather-in-law had dementia. It appears that my grandfather-in-law harbored suspicions from the moment my mother-in-law mentioned building a house to live with him. So he devised a plan. He feigned dementia to observe how my in-laws and husband would react. As anticipated, they revealed their true colors, one after another. In the end, they left my grandfather-in-law and me behind. I struggled to contain my laughter because everything unfolded exactly as I had expected. My grandfather-in-law then said, I found myself surprised, relieved, and slightly conflicted. To deceive the enemy, you must first deceive your allies, my grandfather-in-law chuckled. It seemed he had been receiving regular updates on the company from the executive director and Mr. Jones. With my grandfather-in-law gone, my father-in-law and husband acted as they pleased, self-righteous, and completely ignoring the opinions of the employees, often entertaining at the company's expense. Eventually, my grandfather-in-law handed over the company to my father-in-law, but he harbored concerns about the future, leading him to take decisive action. In the end, he decided he couldn't entrust it to his son and left it to the executive director. I explained. What about the $1,820,000 debt? My husband inquired. That's gone now, I replied. Indeed, my grandfather-in-law had been a guarantor for a friend's dad, but he had personal assets exceeding that amount. However, I deliberately omitted this information to avoid my mother-in-law and husband targeting those assets. The friend was the son of a benefactor who had helped my father-in-law when he was young. Moreover, the countryside land owned by the son was going to be developed into a resort, allowing him to sell it at a high price. I explained further. You're kidding, my husband exclaimed. More importantly, are you guys okay? I asked, concerned. We're not okay. Both my father and I were denounced by the company. What should we do now? My husband lamented. Well, there's also the mortgage on the house, I revealed. What? What do you mean, the mortgage on the house? My husband was taken aback. Haven't you realized it yet? The house money should have all been paid by Grandpa, I clarified. Christopher signed without checking everything. It shows he really didn't have the qualities of a president, I added. You're kidding, my husband sighed. As a consequence, my parents-in-law lost the house they had built because they couldn't pay the mortgage. Now they reside in an old apartment over 50 years old, struggling to repay the unpaid loan. Despite their alternating attempts to contact me, suggesting we all live together, it was impossible now. My grandfather-in-law retired from his chairman position and bought an old house in the countryside. Emily, you can go and live wherever you like freely. You don't have to worry about living expenses, my grandfather-in-law assured me. But I chose to be with him. If I'm not in the way, please let me be with you, I expressed, tears welling up in my eyes. My grandfather-in-law's eyes welled up too. Thanks to Mr. Jones, the divorce was finalized and procedures were taken to exclude my former father-in-law and former husband from inheritance. I became my grandfather-in-law's adopted daughter. If anything happens to him, I intend to take care of him until the end. Now, the two of us enjoy working in the fields together. Dad, look at this radish, it's big, I exclaimed as warm moments flowed in the pouring sunlight. I wish for these days to continue,